Hello, Rob from Fountain Pen Journey with a pen rotation video. So I'm going to talk about all the everyday carry EDC fountain pens that I've been using recently and throughout. Well, basically stretching some of these from January 2020 through the UK lockdown. It's now 26th of June 2020, so you know, quite a lot of pens that I've been using regularly. Now, some of these pens I've already covered in previous videos, like this, such as this Moonman C1 fountain pen. And I've had a variety of pens. I'm doing all sorts of testing at the moment, trying out all sorts of different types of pens. But this is getting to the end of my pen rotation. I have a lot of these pens right here, some of which I will be flushing out and putting away for a while, some of which I will continue to use. So I'll go through these and I will point out that all of these pens, if you see any of these pens, I may have already done a review of them, so check out my reviews playlist or whichever playlist the brand applies to and you'll see the review of that pen. If it's not been reviewed, then stay tuned. Hit the subscribe button for notifications about when I do review these pens, because I review all of the pens that I do use. So let's start off using my moleskin book. That'll be the dogs barking at the door. So 27th of June 2020, halfway through the year already. Shocking, isn't it? So these are all of my fountain pens that I've been using at home. I will point out that not only am I going to be doing an awful lot of pen cleaning, I'll be cleaning out all of these fountain pens, but 2020 has seen me go through some job changes. It's been uncertain for many people, and I was made redundant from my job. However, I have landed myself an even better job, which I shall be starting soon. And to start that job, I will be taking along a whole load of new pens. So I'll be flushing out all of my work pens. I'll leave a link in the description down below to the fountain pen lockdown effect that I had, because some of my work fountain pens were unused for a very long time. So that was quite an interesting video. So I'll leave the link to that video down below. So we'll start off with this pen, the Moonman C1. It comes with a fine nib, and this ink is Diamine Teal. Right, I'll just talk about this pen a little bit. First off, huge ink capacity. It's an eyedropper pen. I'll just leave that standing there for a moment so the ink can go down and you'll see how much ink there is actually in the pen. This thing holds about 5 millilitres of ink when it's eyedroppered, which is a huge amount of ink, and it's also got a fine nib, which means that this pen is not going to use a huge amount of ink when it's being written with. And quite honestly, I've had this pen inked up since January 2020 and it's only just got to the point where it's getting empty. And you can see the ink level there. So I mean, there's probably about a milliliter of ink just left in there in the barrel. So really nice ink capacity on this pen. Very nicely made pen. I do like this pen. I'm not a fan of Moonman nibs. I find them boring and pretty dry, to be honest. But they're usually quite smooth out of the box and usually write well. So that's the Moonman C1. Next pen is this. It's one of my favourites, the Lamy All-Star. This is the Tourmaline 2020 Special Edition. So this is the 2020 colour for the Lamy All-Star, which is nice. It's showing up as quite a blue colour under the camera here, but quite honestly it's more of a greeny teal. I did do a review of this pen and compared it with with the other Lamy Safari colours. So do check that one out as well. And I like it. I was never sold on the Lamy Safari design when I first got into this fountain pen journey 3 years ago. I thought it was hideously ugly, and I still do, but I love the pens. And it's, you know, it's great. So this pen is also inked up. Oops. Lamy All-Star, Vermillion, the medium nib, and as I was saying, this ink and this pen is inked up with Lamy Vermillion. So this is the ink to match the pen, and quite honestly I quite like it. I've never been that much of a fan of Lamy's inks, but this particular teal ink, and I mean, you look, Diamine teal, it's a sort of greenish dirty colour, whereas the tourmaline is a really vibrant colour. It pops, and I hate using the word pops, but it does. It's bright, it's colourful, and it's got good saturation, especially for a Lamy ink. And when you do lay down a lot of ink on the right paper, there is a red sheen. It's not a sheening ink by any means, but interesting nonetheless. So that's quite a nice pen. I'll go with this one next. So another 2020 special edition colour, this time from TWSBI. This is the TWSBI Eco Yellow, and I really like it. I like the TWSBI Eco at the best of times, and this yellow is really nice and bright. It's got the usual red insert, plastic insert with the TWSBI logo in the end of the cap there. And it's a piston filler, and it's a reliably good, easy to maintain piston filler, which you can dismantle altogether if you want to clean it out thoroughly. And yeah, this has been an everyday writer for me. I've used this pen a lot during the lockdown. I've filled it up 2 or 3 times, holds a huge amount of ink, and it's really, really good. So number 3. Oops. Eco Yellow with a medium nib. And this ink it's an ink I discovered in 2020. Absolutely love this ink. KWZ Walkover Vistula. It's a shame you can't smell this, because it smells of vanilla. You smell the nib, really nice vanilla scent. It's not necessarily supposed to be a vanilla scented ink, but that's KWZ inks for you. So yeah, really lovely colour. I mean, it's colourful but dark. It's just overall a really, really good ink. Really happy with that. Nice colour, flows well. Very good quality ink from KWZ. This one now, this pen, I reviewed this recently. Lamy 2000 stainless steel, and I'm still, in all honesty, check out the video review that I made of this pen recently, to draw up your own conclusions as to whether this is a pen for you or not, because I think, if I'm pressed, I prefer the standard Macrolon version. However, this is really, it's not even a next level pen. This is a very mid-range or top-end fountain pen based on the price. I mean, £350 upwards, expensive. But I like it, and it had to be in my collection at the right price, mainly because I like the Lamy 2000 a lot, and this is, yeah, it's a great writer. So pen number 4, Lamy 2000, stainless steel, with a fine gold nib, and the ink is Colt Pens deep dark green, which is a good ink. It's a very, very dark green, almost greenish black. So, very nice pen. Next pen. I'm not actually going to write with this because I am going to review this very soon. It's the Platinum 3776. The reason I'm not going to write with this one right now is because I am doing an experiment. This is a mid-range, high-end, almost, fountain pen that has Platinum's slip and seal capping mechanism so that the ink in the nib and feed isn't supposed to dry out. And I've not written with this pen for a while, so when I do that review, that will be the first time this pen has been written with for a few weeks. And I want to see how it writes, whether there's any hard starts, skipping, that type of thing. Because if this pen writes flawlessly from the get-go, this is going to be an absolutely amazing pen, because I love this pen. I love how it writes. So hit the subscribe button, ding the notification bell a couple of times, you'll be notified of when I publish the videos, and yeah, stay tuned because this review is coming, and I'm hoping it's not going to let me down, because this is quite a lovely pen. Really, really up there in my favourite fountain pens of all time, if it does happen to write. So, not going to write with that one. I will write with this Platinum, though. This is the Platinum Pre-Fount. Now, I have reviewed this quite extensively previously, and I really love it. It's grown on me a lot. It's a pen that I liked, but I thought, it's okay. But the more I write with these Platinum Pre-Fount fountain pens, the more I really am growing to love them. They're cheap, they're plastic, but they write well. They've got very good quality platinum nibs. So think of the Platinum Preppy. Yeah, those of you who have used those or do use those, this is the next level. It's slightly better overall in terms of quality. And this one is the Platinum Pre-Fount Vermillion Orange, which isn't a stupidly bright orange, it's more of a reddy orange. Translucent demonstrator. You can eyedropper these pens, and it's lovely. I really like it. This Platinum Pre-Fount is loaded with a platinum ink cartridge. I have been using my emerald green Platinum Pre-Fount, which has been eyedroppered with I think it was Waterman Harmonious Green, and I used that for ages, and yeah, brilliant, good ink capacity. But this is quite a juicy nib on these pens, so they do use quite a lot of ink. So let's just write this down. Very smooth. I'll write down the full name of the pen. This has got a medium steel nib. Other nibs are available with the Platinum Pre-Fount. There is a little bit of feedback, but it's very pleasant. I paired the Platinum Pink ink cartridges with this pen because I do quite like pink inks, and I wanted to use a pink ink in some pen, and it just happened to match this orange quite nicely. So I think the orange and the pink go quite well together. So that's the Platinum Pre-Fount. And the next pen I shall pick. Now, this pen, another Japanese brand. This is, if I can get, there we go, Pilot. This was a charity shop find, and it's plastic or resin, and it's got like it's hard to explain. It's almost like you can see how this looks like it's sort of made out of pressed together material, like a bit like chipboard, that sort of thing, grey chipboard. So it's not the prettiest of pens, but it's quite interesting. And I'm guessing it probably dates back to the 80s. So I mean, if you've got any idea which pilot model this fountain pen is, please do leave me a comment down below. It would be greatly appreciated, because I don't have any information about it. Pops the cap off, and I'll just unscrew this, and it is an aerometric converter, which I generally hate with a vengeance. I really hate sack pens. It's one of the things that puts me off a lot of vintage pens, and I know that that's going to upset some people, but I just can't get on with them. They hold very little ink, they're a pain to clean, and the sacks eventually perish and degrade anyway, so you've got to replace those. And no, sorry, 2020, it's time to move on from sack filling fountain pens. You know, I mean, even piston fillers, Swiss Eco, reliable, dismantle it easily, you know, it works. This thing holds hardly any ink, it's a pain to clean. And I don't even know if there is enough ink in this pen to, there is writing. So 6, pilot, unknown, I'll just call it unknown grey marble. And I'll just double check the nib. I mean, I've got no indication, but I am more or less certain that it is a fine nib. And the ink in this is Robert Oster Blue Denim. And I like this ink, really nice ink. It's often in my pen rotations. And this pen writes really nicely. I mean, it's a fine nib, which I'm never that much of a fan of, but it's very, very, I mean, excuse my dog there. It's very, very smooth, if you like. It writes finely, and it's got very, very nice feedback. So, any ideas what that might be? Please leave me a comment down below, because I have no idea whatsoever. I'm picking up ink from somewhere. I wonder which pen that is. Right, next pen. Now, this is the John G Facebook fountain pen that I reviewed a while ago, and yeah, absolutely lovely, handmade, really nicely handmade, very good quality fountain pen, made by a fountain pen enthusiast here in the UK called John, surname begins with G. I'm not going to disclose or give out too much information, because I don't know whether he likes that sort of publicity. I know that when I reviewed this fountain pen, one of my viewers was very keen to get hold of one of these pens or something very similar. So I helped him out and directed them to the UK Facebook fountain pen page, where I discovered John's pens. And yeah, they're always very, very limited production runs. He does them as a hobby, sells them basically at cost, and he's managed to get hold of some really lovely acrylics, but very, very limited quantities. He did a very similar pen to this fountain pen in a nice wine red chatoyant material, which was absolutely gorgeous, but he only had enough acrylic to make 2 pens, and I think as soon as the post went out, the pens were sold, so that was that. So missed out on that, unfortunately. So unscrew, and it is quite a smallish pen, relatively nice big box steel nib, and pen number 7. Okay, I'm just going to call this the John G Facebook pen. This has got a broad Bock steel nib. The ink in this is J.O. Barn Diabolo Mente. Which is peppermint. Nice colour, not hugely saturated. Goes well with this broad nib because I've always found that J.O. Barn inks, the general standard inks that they sell, tend to be on the little bit on the dry side. So I think it matches this pen really, really quite well. Nice bright colours, and I must admit this is coming out as a dark teal blue, whereas in actual fact it's much more of a I'd say almost a chatoyant turquoise colour. It's a really nice pen. Let's stay on the, where should we go to next? Now this pen, I don't even know if there's enough ink in this to actually do it, even write its name. Those of you who've been watching my everyday carry fountain pen rotation videos over the last 6 months or so will have noticed that this pen has featured in quite a few of those, and I've still not got around to doing a full review of it, mainly because I've got other models of this wonderful pen, which quite honestly, you've seen the Lamy 2000. Okay, this is the stainless steel version, but the Lamy 2000 Macrolon is up there in my all-time favourite pens. The Platinum 3776 could well be up there in my all-time favourite pens, and this pen, the Diplomat Aero, in whatever colour it is, this happens to be just the blue colour, this will definitely be up there in my all-time favourite fountain pens. And I will do a very full in-depth review of the Diplomat Aero fountain pen in due course, because I have a whole load of other colours which I've been using on and off to make sure that, you know, this is a consistently good pen. And it, spoiler alert, it really is. Just do stay tuned for that. Hit the subscribe button. You'll get notified of when that video goes out. It will be a video that I'm making within the next month or 2 months at least. At the latest rather. So Diplomat Aero, very nice pen to uncap, very nice pen to hold, all metal pen, nice big section, really lovely, very, very incredibly smooth steel nib. So let's see if it actually has enough ink to write with. Oops, Diplomat Aero blue, broad nib again. Now this ink is Noodler's Blue Nosed Bear. Which I actually quite like. I think it needs a broader nib, and I have found that this Noodler's Blue Nosed Bear ink feathers on every paper. It just feathers. It's not a very good ink from that point of view, but I do quite like the colour. It's a icy dark, well, it's dark blue in this broad nib, but I think it's a nice colour. It's like an icy dark teal, you know, you can see it for yourself, make up your own mind whether you like it or not. I like it, I like the colour, except for the feathering. The feathering is an issue. So there we go, Diplomat Aero. Next pen, one of my very shortly to be published reviews, the Kaweco All Sport Stonewashed Black. So it's an aluminium, I think it's aluminium, fountain pen. So it's all metal, but it's got weight to it, but not too heavy. It's not a great chunky heavy pen like another pen that you will be seeing shortly. Kaweco. This is a fine nib in this pen, and this ink is Beaufort inks. Scots Pine, which I really like. It's a very nice pine green ink, and it's a lovely pocket pen. Becomes a really, really good size. It's a good weight. The Stonewashed black effect looks absolutely fantastic. It looks like it's got character. It's been lived in. And if you want a true everyday carry fountain pen, I don't think you can actually get much better than this, because even the fact that, you know, it's a metal pen, it's robust, it's reliable, it's a pocket pen, the clip's removable and you can reposition it wherever you want on the cap, and you can write with it unposted. It is big enough just to jot down notes, and it only slides onto post, so no screwing it onto the back there, even though I know some people do like that. Not something I'm a fan of. And because it's this wonderful rugged looking stonewashed black, where it's been, if you like, worn away in various exposed parts of the pen, you know, the more scuffed up this pen gets, the more individual it will be to use. So yeah, excellent everyday carry fountain pen. Right, next pen. This little thing. Now, I did review this fairly recently. This is the Cult Pens Mini fountain pen, and it's made by Kaweco. So I would say, you know, All Sport is a better pen. You know, Cult Pens went to Kaweco and said, can you make us a metal pocket fountain pen that ticks these boxes? And that's exactly what they did. But in all honesty, if you've seen my review of the Cult Pens Mini fountain pen, I'm sorry, but the best pen out of anything that Kaweco's made out of metal as a pocket fountain pen are the All Sports. They're just, you know, solid, chunky, nicely weighted, good sized fountain pens. The Cult Pens Mini fountain pen for me was a bit of a letdown, but this is Cult Pens 2020 special edition colour. So it's this Cult Pens blue fountain pen colour, and yeah, so been produced for their 15th birthday. I'll try and get this to focus. There we go. Cult Pens by Kaweco on the top of the cap there. So I don't know how long these pens are going to be in stock for, so if you're into special edition Kaweco fountain pens, then this is definitely one that you should be checking out. Whether you like the pen or not, it's certainly one that you need to add to your collection. So this is a Cult Pens exclusive, not available anywhere else. Excuse me, losing my voice already. And I'm just going to check what the ink is in this. Where's my ink notes on this? Oh yeah, of course. Unscrew. Tiny pen, quite slim. I'd say a fairly small section, in fact a very small section, and it doesn't post very securely or deeply. Well, it posts securely enough, but it doesn't post very deeply, and it's a decent size, quite slim. So pen number 10. And this is medium steel, excuse me, medium steel nib. The ink is Visconti Turquoise. This is a fountain pen that will probably not be re-inking up when the time comes. I should imagine it's almost out of ink anyway. Just pause the video a moment while I clear my throat. There we go. Much better. So what have we got next? Well, this was another letdown for me, to be honest. This was the Faber-Castell Hexo, which I was really looking forward to getting. All metal fountain pen, big size, you know, black stealth finish, Faber-Castell nib. You know, what's not to love about this? And the hexagonal finish, and what actually turned up didn't really look anything like the marketing materials from Faber-Castell. And yeah, it's okay, but not for the price. There are better, more interesting, more reliable writing fountain pens for the price, or less, than this. And amazingly, it didn't hard start to skip, because I have found that this pen skips on some papers really, really badly. Not that there's anything wrong with the nib, because it seems to be quite picky on what it writes on, but on this moleskin paper it seems fine. And this is a broad nib, believe it or not, which, you know, medium nib, Cult Pens Mini, Faber-Castell Hexo, looks finer than that. So yeah, just not. I know that the Faber-Castell nibs are finer than most European nibs, which is a bit weird, to be honest, but there you go, that's what they are. And this ink is Pelikan Edelstein. Tanzanite. Rather understated, sort of blue-black. Don't know, just, no, I'm still not sold on this. I'll probably stick another ink cartridge in it, because it's quite convenient. You know, this is the sort of fountain pen that I have carrying around the house. Don't mind if I let this thing fall off the back of the sofa occasionally, or, you know, one of the dogs decides to have a bit of a investigation. So yeah, it's okay, it does the job, but I wasn't happy with that for the price. Now this little pen, next pen, reviewed this recently, and I was convinced it was actually a rebranded Pilot Petit 1, but it is not. It is the Papermate Compact Fountain Pen, which developed quite a lot of interest in the video review, because so many people thought it was the Pilot Petit 1. I've compared the Pilot Petit 1 to the Papermate Compact Fountain Pen, this pen, as you can see. Is that even the right way around? There we go. No. Papermate there. And it even has a Papermate nib. Steel nib. Tiny, tiny pocket pen, just like the Pilot Petit 1. Not quite as great a writer, but not far off. And the reason I was never keen on this particular Papermate pen is because you've really got to wedge the cap onto the barrel there to make this a decent size to write with. And even then, if you're writing, this cap moves and it becomes loose and just comes off. It's not great, but it's incredibly cheap and a good pocket pen for just knocking about in pockets, bags, around the house, that type of thing. And this has got a medium steel nib, and the ink in this is quite simply the blue generic cartridge that came with the this particular fountain pen, and it does the job. It's really good. I'm not sure whether I like that. No, in fact, I can't stand the colour. I think the colour is absolutely awful. I don't like lilac-y purples at the best of times, but I like purples. This pen only seems to be available in the this sort of transparent demonstrator eyedropper purple highlighted colours. I mean, even this feed under here is purple. Ugh. No, not for me. But it's reliable, and you can write with it. And quite honestly, the price, I mean, it's like £5 for a pack of 3 from Amazon. I put the link in the description of the video review of this pen to the Amazon listing if you are interested in this, in buying this pen. Though I would obviously try to persuade you to consider buying the Pilot Petit 1 instead, because it's just easier to write with posted. So there we go, Pilot Petit 1. Now, this fountain pen here, next one, PENBBS 308. I love the PENBBS 308, and this finish is called Manjusaka, which is a type of, basically a type of lily from the Far East, which it actually resembles quite a lot. Spidery red petals. And I quite like this finish because it's translucent. Well, it's a transparent eyedropper. I mean, you can see the converter in there. This is almost out of ink. There we go. See the ink just about in there. You can see the nib. Focus. See the nib through the barrel there. So it's got this red netted acrylic sort of spread woven throughout the thing. Now, I put a post up on one of the Fountain Pen Network Facebook groups, basically saying I've got a review of this pen. No, it wasn't. It was the would have been the PENBBS Taste the Rainbow Fountain Pen group, and I don't know. I liked it right up until some of the comments came through about what this reminded them of, this acrylic. Try and get that back in focus. So we've got a translucent red acrylic sort of, yeah. And people were commenting that it looked a bit like, it looked very organic. And when they said organic, and War of the Worlds, the modern version of the film with Tom Cruise, was mentioned, there's a scene in that which is very reminiscent of this acrylic, which is quite icky. And then somebody else mentioned it looked a bit anatomical. And it was just like, yeah, that's it. That's what it reminds me of. German guy, I don't know if he's still alive now. Gunther von Pagels, I believe his name was. I probably made a right mess of that name or got it wrong altogether. But he did plasticized human bodies, human corpses, for his Body Worlds exhibitions that he toured the world with a few years ago, and they were morally questionable. Fascinating. It depends on your take. If you're a biologist, they were probably fascinating. I'm into science, biology especially, and I never went to see any of them. Quite shocking, but quite fascinating and informative at the same time. And yeah, this particular acrylic does now completely remind me of that, and it's gone from being, oh, that's quite a nice unusual acrylic, to so not so sure about this one now. My dog's decided to join me. PENBBS 308 Manjusaka. And I need to check this. It is a fine nib. This is Diamine Scarlet. which is a reddish, scarlet, Diamine Scarlet. So yeah, matches the pen quite well. Not sure if I'll ink this up again after thinking about what this pen reminds me of, but interesting acrylic nonetheless. I'm going to stay on the same PENBBS theme for a while because I have other PENBBS pens, including a couple of these 308s. I love the 308 fountain pen. The PENBBS 308 fountain pen is just one of those pens that is so, if you like, comfortable to hold. For me personally, I really like it. So this is the PENBBS Cloud finish of the acrylic, and I'll show you the finish in a minute. I'll show it you now. So it's a white, and I mean it's cloudy. Come on, focus. Cloudy, but translucent acrylic with chatoyancy in. So it is, it's white. It looks black because of, you've got the converter and the ink and things in here. So it's, it's not a demonstrator by any means, but, you get the idea. It's very opaque material, apart from these swirls. I mean, it's mainly swirls of opaque, sometimes chatoyant, white, cloudy material, but through translucent acrylic. So you've got a good mix of things going on there. Anyway, I'll get back to talking about the ink. So PENBBS 308 Cloud. And this has got the RM, which is rounded medium nib, and I wish that PENBBS would sell more of their pens with rounded medium nibs instead of the fine nibs that they typically tend to sell, because I prefer the rounded medium. They're very smooth, decent medium nibs. And this ink is the Atramentis Midnight Blue. And I like this ink. As you can see, it's another teal ink, very dark blue teal, very nice. And I think I had to sort of match this Cloud PENBBS 308 with that ink because, I don't know, for some reason I thought, yeah, moonlit sky, moonlight lighting the clouds, yeah, got the chatoyancy going on. So yeah, nicely matched, in my opinion. So the final PENBBS 308 I'm going to show you today is this. This is PENBBS 308 in the summer acrylic. So not as opaque as Cloud. I'll just get this Cloud back. There we go. So not as opaque, more translucent. Oops. And there is more chatoyancy in this summer material. And we've got this nice bright sky blue swirled into the white milky acrylic. You can see things like the nib through there. So I mean, it is opaque in places, but more translucent, much more translucent and more chatoyant than the Cloud acrylic. So let's pop that over there. So pen number 15. Still too many pens inked up, and this doesn't include all the pens that I've used and then emptied out over the last few months. And this nib is, I think, it's probably, it wasn't actually listed in the Etsy shop what nib it is, but I'm going to go with a medium nib, so it could well be a rounded medium nib. And this ink is a beautiful colour. No, it's not Cult Pens, sorry. It's Pure Pens. Pure Pens Celtic Sea. Really nice blue colour. So as you can see, I do like teal inks. Do have a range of them inked up, but as you can see, they are all different. It's quite shocking actually how many teal inks and green inks that I actually use, apart from the odd blue cartridge, the pink, and a red because I needed a red. Okay, yeah, we'll move on from that. Lots of teal inks, so lots to choose from. Right, next PENBBS pen. So this is the PENBBS 350 Aluminium. This is the Vermillion fountain, Vermillion colour. So it's an aluminium fountain pen, obviously. Unscrews, posts not very deeply, but you know, reasonably well. So pen number 16. PENBBS 350 and aluminium. Vermilion colour. And this is a fine nib. Now this is going back to PENBBS and their fine nibs. And this ink is Diamine Cerise, which in medium nib is a really lovely pink, really great pink. But in this, it not only writes dry, okay, it's fine, but it feels dry. I mean, it's just not, there's nothing there. So PENBBS, you know, I do like their pens, and their nibs are good, but I do find that I have to tinker with their nibs personally to get them to write wetter and how I like, because I don't like how PENBBS's fine nibs write for me. I mean, I did a smear test on that and you'd never even know that I'd only just written that little hashtag there. So there we go, there's the PENBBS 350 Aluminium Vermillion, which I like, and I find it looks very similar to the Namisu, some of the Namisu fountain pens that are made here in the UK. They did have a sale, which is still on, I believe, of their prototype pens, and you could pick up one of their prototype pens for about £20. And this pen from Etsy cost much less than that. I think it was about £13. But very similar in design, and quite honestly I thought, now I can tinker with this nib, so I probably will tinker with this nib and use some brass shim on it so that it's not quite as dry, because it's not writing how I'd like it. I've written a fair bit with this pen, but nah, it needs a bit more work for me personally. Right, final PENBBS fountain pen. So we've got PENBBS 323, and I love the sort of, I think Stephen Brown called this a Piscine shaped fountain pen, which is actually about as near as I could ever think to call it. It's fish shaped. You know, you've got this sort of bulbous head, tapers down, then you've got the body that sort of tapers and then flares back out towards the tail. These conical finials, and this is the PENBBS 323, which I like as a very ergonomic fountain pen. But this is the aluminium version. This is the aluminium version in the finish called 109 Mocha, and it's this kind of brown coffee colour, all metal fountain pen. And unscrew that, there is no clip or anything, and nothing to stop this pen rolling, so just bear that one in mind. And it is quite slippery. It's a matte finish, but I find it a little bit slippery, but it's very ergonomic. I mean, it just literally nestles in your hand perfectly. Sections are perfect size, and the way that this flares out again, I mean, it just nests in your hand just so well, the PENBBS 323. So where are we? 17. Right, okay, I'm going to have to refer to my notes. So it's the PENBBS 323 Aluminium. And 109 Mocha. So sort of coffee coloured. And this has also got the rather nice rounded medium nib. And the ink in this is Diamine. I'm not a massive wine drinker, so I'm going to completely butcher this. Syrah. I always do. I've got a bottle of ink with this in, and it's a sort of reddish wine burgundy ink, and it matches this pen really, really quite well. Stay tuned for a review of this PENBBS 323 Aluminium Fountain Pen, because there are some differences between this and the acrylic version, which I need to talk to you about. So just bear that one in mind. It's not exactly the same as the acrylic PENBBS 323. So stay tuned for that video in due course. Very nice pen. A bit slippery, but you know, maybe it's because my hands are drier. I think some people don't like metal pens and metal sections because their hands slip, and this even slips a bit on mine. So yeah. There's a couple of different things going on between this and the acrylic versions, which I'll cover in my upcoming review. Right, nearly out of ink again on this. My beloved Pelikan fountain pens. And this is really, really nice little fountain pen. I did call it Pelikan and not PENBBS. God, if PENBBS started churning out pens like this, I'd be well happy. For the right price, obviously, PENBBS, if you're listening. So, let's look at this pen. Smaller Pelikan fountain pen. This is the M200, quite clearly. This is the marbled brown. And, yeah, I love it. I mean, you could pay a lot more for a much bigger fountain pen from Pelikan. But, you know, I like the M200 a lot. Really great pen. And let's write this down. I did review this pen a couple of months ago, maybe. So it's the Pelikan M200 Marble Brown. The medium steel nib. And the ink is Diamine, again, Macassar. And I like this nib. It's not, in my view, not the smoothest, but it's really wet, so you don't have to apply any pressure to get ink out of this. Wow, look at that, nice and wet. Compare that with the fine nib PENBBS 350, huge difference. So there's I haven't finished yet, there's still more pens to go. Oop, try and cap this over the camera, there we go. So there's the Pelikan M200 marble brown rather. Lovely chatoyant brown barrel there. Right, this next pen is a pen that I absolutely adore. So much so I bought more. More of these. Namisu Nova. And this is the copper fountain pen. Incredibly heavy, solid metal fountain pen. And this copper is developing a really lovely patina. I mean, since I bought this, I've written with it and handled it, and yeah, great. And it develops this patina, which is very individual to how you hold the pen. The previous owner of this pen, because I did buy it second hand, had developed a patina on there herself. Where are we? 18, 19. And yeah, really lovely copper, solid copper fountain pen. Brilliant, very heavy though. And this nib is really, really wonderful. It's a fine steel nib, and trying to work out. Yep, it is definitely a Bock steel nib, and it writes so well. And the ink that I paired this pen with is Diamine Ancient Copper. Which pretty much had to go with this pen. And in my review you'll get the full details about this pen. So stay tuned for that one. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, please, and watch that when it comes out, because I strongly advise you, if you're in the market for a mid-range, mid-price, all-metal, heavy, solid fountain pen, which doesn't come with a clip, these are great. And this pen, you know, some metal pens I find, you know, have got no cap liner in there or anything, and I find that some metal pens will dry out if you, well, not dry out, stroke, hard start, if you don't write with them for a length of time. And I'm talking, sometimes with me, a length of time can be a couple of weeks or more. This pen never lets me down. It's brilliant. I love this pen. So, next few pens. Just reposition myself because I want to show you my sparkly pink pencil case, which I commandeered from my wife because of these pens. Now, these are all Noodler's Ahabs, and I've eyedropped these because I got sick of the Noodler's Ahab captured piston filling system. It's just a pain to clean. I had all sorts of issues, and I was using interesting inks, and these have all got interesting inks in. Apart from this one, this is just a basic ink, which basically I wanted an everyday writer of the Noodler's Ahab. So I eyedropper filled this because it holds loads of ink, and you can see how much ink I've used just writing with this. It's brilliant. It makes a really good desk pen. It's not a great everyday carry fountain pen. Please do check out my review of it. It's a full in-depth review of the Noodler's Ahab, because I cover all the filling systems that there are. There are basically 3 filling systems for this pen, and I cover all those in the review, and also tell you why this doesn't make a good everyday carry fountain pen. But the clue is partly in the fact that these things are kept in this waterproof and ink-proof pink makeup bag pencil case thing that I happened to, my wife was throwing out, and I thought, wow, that's perfect for my purposes, so I'll leave that there. So I'll talk about the pens and just go through the inks as well, because you want to see what these are actually like. So 1920. So Noodler's Ahab, and this is Maximilian Emerald. Oops, Emerald, and the ink is Octopus Inks Tiefgrün, dark green basically, and flex, lovely, lovely, lovely. And now you can see why the Noodler's Ahab is not a good everyday carry fountain pen. These things, yeah, they are very, very messy. So let's just rub that into my skin so I can now turn into the Incredible Hulk. Pen number 21. Oops, 21. This is the Ahab. Again, these are all Ahabs. This is the Midas Pearl. And this is Diamine Cocoa Shimmer. Oops, Diamine. Shimmertastic ink. will come back to these inks when they've dried, because these shimmering inks are really, really lovely. Oh, this isn't a shimmering ink. This is the Tokapi Amber colour Noodler's Ahab. Oops, Tokapi Amber. And this is Pelikan. This is last year's ink. Pelikan Edelstein. Star Ruby, which is a lovely colour. Really, really nice reddy pink. So that's the Tokapi Amber version. Right, let's go with... Oh, yeah, you can see ink all over the shop. 23. This is called Tiger, this peach and black coloured Ahab. And this is Diamine Shimmertastic. Diamine Shimmertastic Frosted Orchid, which is a really good dark, very dark purple with silver shimmer, which we shall look at in a short moment. Just Ahabs. Right, last pen is this one, the Noodler's Ahab Mandarin Yellow. Which is, yeah, something stuck on there. We're going to get rid of that. Mandarin Yellow. Now this is, as it happens, also made by Diamine. Let's try and move that over there. Right, okay. So this is Pure Pens, which is made by Diamine. So Pure Pens ink, and this one is Welsh Gold. And for those of you who don't know, yes, Wales does have very small gold deposits, and literally ink everywhere, which is why the Ahab is such a pain as an everyday carry. So let's just pop these pens back in their isolation unit, zip that up, and have a look at these shimmer inks. So up here we've got the Diamine Shimmertastic Cocoa Shimmer. So it's brown ink with gold shimmer. Really, really good. The Frosted Orchid, nice ink, very, very sparkly silver shimmer in the purple, dark purple ink. And the Welsh Gold, really nice, very black ink with gold shimmer in there as well. So, I hope you found this video interesting, and I will be doing another one when I've cleaned out a lot of these pens in due course, along with reviews of the pens which you haven't seen. And thank you very much for watching. Thanks for sticking with me for the full hour, and I shall see you next time. Bye.